So what makes someone worthy of power? Is it strength? Is it reputation? Is it fear? Or is it something quieter? Is it something that's harder to see? It's one thing to survive. It's another thing completely to decide what your survival was for. And Star Wars has always wrestled with this question. So we've got empires that are rising on control. You have Jedi who fall away because they lose sight of their purpose. And somewhere in between, people are left trying to figure out what power is actually meant to do. And in the Book of Boba Fett, we return to a character who once represented mystery and danger and control, a man who didn't need to speak to be feared. But when we find him again, everything has changed, not just because he survived the Sarlacc, but because survival forced him to ask a deeper question. Now what? And as we continue on our journey to the Mandalorian and Grogu later this month, the story becomes something essential. While Din Djarin is learning what it means to love, Boba Fett is learning what it means to lead. And those two journeys are heading towards the same future. So welcome to Tatooine Sons. I'm David. I'll be joined, of course, as always, by Samuel the Hutt and by BB Nate as we talk about Star Wars in a different way than any other YouTube channels and podcasts that you're used to. There aren't going to be a lot of canon Easter eggs here. We're not going to be theorizing about the future of Star Wars, and we're not going to have a ton of discussions about the EU and reactions to the latest news. This is a deeper look into the characters and the motivations that make these stories the mythology of our time. There is a story. It is written on our soul, and these myths speak to that story, and that's why we talk about Star Wars and these other things. Before we get to that discussion, though, please consider liking this video, subscribing to the channel, and turning on notifications so you don't miss any of our future conversations. It would mean a lot to us. All right, let's discuss what some people think of as the Mandalorian Season 2.5, also known as the Book of Boba Fett.
This is Tatooine Sons.
Sam, are you excited about this episode at all, Sam?
No.
I mean,
like genuinely.
I mean, after watching the Book of Boba Fett a second time, or you haven't watched it a second time, you just watched a recap. Okay. Yeah. So, I'm trying to think of a line that Boba Fett says in Empire Strikes Back or something that you could be saying right now. He doesn't say much, does he? He's just like...
He's a strong silent.
I think he says, "as you wish," or something like that at one point.
Yeah, something like that.
Right, like a bantha.
There we go. All right.
Oh, God.
All right, you got to have to take the mask off, though. I'm not going to pick you up. You're going to leave it up like that the whole time?
The whole time.
I don't
It's
think
going to fall off and hit.
That's
great.
Okay.
No, yeah,
That's not a good idea.
All right.
Get your helmet. Yeah, you can put it down between you guys or something. Maybe turn off the viewfinder so it doesn't... You don't want to wear out the battery on this. All right. So if you guys had to live on Tatooine for a week, what's your survival strategy? Are you guys going to, are you going to like just go full on Tusken? Are you going to move into the, city of Mos Espa, or are you going to just hide out on a moisture farm?
I'm just too Kenobi strat.
Just a hermit in a cave.
Just a hermit.
He seemed like he was chilling. Not a big issue. He was fine.
Just hanging out, huh?
Just hanging out. For a week, I could do it.
I think I'd go to the cantina and punch the biggest guy there first.
I'm not surprised you'd go to a cantina, though.
Well,
So, Nathan, you're getting ready to turn 21 in just a few months.
Yeah.
Do we need to head down to Orlando just so you can go to Oga's Cantina for a drink?
Maybe.
Get a fuzzy tauntaun.
Get a fuzzy
That would be
tauntaun
fun.
or something like that. That'd be kind of cool. If we go to the virtual celebration VCN,
The virtual Cantina Network stuff.
they're doing their Scum and Villainy Cantina meetup on Tuesday.
That's so cool.
Nice.
They're doing some big stuff. They're opening a new version of the Scum and Villainy in LA, in Burbank.
Really?
And it's going to be even bigger and more stuff. And I think they're kicking
It was already really good.
It was really cool. But if this is going to be, it started off as a pop-up.
Yeah.
And then they went permanent, and now they're going to be opening another location.
That's cool. Love that.
It's going to be the craziest place to be in LA for Star Wars Celebration. And tomorrow, when this is airing, it'll be tomorrow is May 6th.
Oh,
so
ticket day.
Tickets.
Good.
Tickets day. Nathan, are you ready?
No.
Not ready at all.
You're our only hope.
I will do my best. I don't know what the best will be.
We're going for VIP this time.
I know we're trying.
50th anniversary of Star Wars,
I'll do my
10th
best.
anniversary of us going to our
believe in
first
you. We believe in
celebration. You're our only hope,
I'll
bud.
see.
All right.
We'll see how it goes.
So what's your favorite Boba Fett moment across all of Star Wars, not just this season? Sam.
I've never actually had to think about that question before. I always thought he just looked cool, so he was my favorite.
He does look cool.
I don't know. The him riding a Rancor at the end of Book of Boba Fett
That was a pretty cool scene.
It is pretty cool. It's kind of tough to top that.
What about you, BB Nate?
I don't know if I have a favorite. I don't think of Boba Fett all that often. Which is not
My favorite is when is it Luke like force kicks him?
Yeah,
in Return of the
there's like
Jedi,
a foot between,
and he just
his
flies
foot
off
and
and gets ends up.
quality is so bad.
It's so
Can't
bad.
imagine.
George Lucas killed my childhood with that one, Return of the Jedi. So
Could you ever imagine that being a Star Wars thing?
if that happened in the Disney era
it
of
would
Star
get
Wars,
Crucified.
it would be the subject of every Geeks and
I would be
Gamer
seeing
and Star Wars
it
Theory
every 5
video
seconds for
ever
years.
made.
Yep.
With that, would you rather have Boba's armor or Din's armor? BB
Din's.
Nate? Din's, really?
There's
Why?
no doubt. I feel like we see Boba's get beat up way more than Din's.
Well,
So,
that's the thing.
literal
his-
plot armor.
Boba's is an alloy.
Yeah.
Of Beskar and other metals.
Is it really?
Din's most
So-
Mandalorian armor is an alloy, but Din's is pure.
Yeah, there's no doubt
which is
I
why
would be
his is
Din's.
able to tank lightsaber rounds and blaster bolts.
I did
better
not know
than other-
that.
Yes, that is why Din's all day.
Yeah, if you're going for a practical sense, yeah, you got to go with Din's armor.
I
But
think it just looks cooler.
Boba Fett's season 2 Mandalorian armor, where he gets like the fresh coat of paint. That's the best look.
It's the best look. It's a great look. Come
I
on,
think it's
Nate.
fine.
So you like the
I
shiny
still
better.
like the shiny, like the two-tone kind of vibe.
What was it like for you watching him go from season 2 Boba Fett when he first
Maybe
gets his
opening
armor
a can of
back
worms here, by the way.
to that transition in season 2 when he comes back with the full on painted armor and all that other stuff?
I mean, it made sense. I mean, that armor had been cooking in a Sarlacc belly for a few years, so it needed a fresh coat of paint. But I mean, it made sense. It's a new version of the character, so it would stand to reason that he'd get a fresh look with it. Still, obviously, Boba Fett. Like, you look at the two, and it's clearly the same character, but obviously not the same as it was before. So,
Who's the better partner in the Mandoverse right now? Cara Dune or Fennec Shand?
Fennec.
Really?
Yeah, there's no
Are you
doubt.
serious?
I think she
I mean,
has way
Cara
more
Dune was a
skill.
pretty cool.
She was cool,
a
but
cool
I think Fennec
character.
has way more
Yeah.
skill. I don't even think.
Really,
there's
I mean,
a doubt about it.
now she's a shock trooper. Like, I mean,
And Fennec is Fennec.
Fennec's
one
an
of the best
assassin.
bounty hunters in the world, assassins in the universe.
yeah.
that's
I would
I'm
pick
honestly
Fennec.
surprised
I
that
would
nobody
pick
picked
Fennec.
Cara Dune.
I would pick Fennec any day. Yeah.
Any day.
That's bizarre. What's your favorite small moment from the Book of Boba Fett, Sam? Just kind of like that, like because the whole show is it's a slow burn up until about the last 3 episodes, 3 or 4 episodes until we get to Din. It's pretty much just sort of like let's just see what happens with Boba Fett and this type of thing. What's your favorite small like simple moment? Like I'm thinking maybe even in the flashbacks to his story before we get to him in the Mandalorian.
It's hard to pick out a specific moment. I mean, like I said, I brushed up on the large strokes of the show before we recorded, but I haven't done a rewatch since the show came out. So a lot of the little finer details are lost to me. But I did appreciate. I mean, we're seeing Boba Fett as more of a person as opposed to just a guy in a suit. So I like that. I mean, it's memed to heck and back, but even just the little moment where he's like a bantha, right? Like a bantha. I mean, it gave Boba Fett a little bit more character than he had before. I appreciated that. I appreciate all the stuff with the Tusken Raiders because that shows a different side of him, some character development. And it was cool to hear Tamura Morrison talk about how him being able to use the gaffy stick and all that stuff kind of reflected
Bring
his
that culture into it.
and which I really appreciated them doing that. I thought that was cool. So maybe something with like the Tuskens of that whole slice of life area.
Now you've met Tamura and Daniel Logan
Briefly,
and
yeah,
you
just
got
an
Jeremy
autograph.
Bullock behind you.
Yeah.
On the wall there.
Yeah, they Jeremy Bullock not Jeremy Bullock. Well, Jeremy Bullock, Tamura Morrison, and Daniel Logan signed that same backpack that's in that picture.
Is that what? Did you get a picture with Tamura?
No, I didn't get
But
a
you
picture
met him.
with him or Daniel.
Okay.
No.
Well, that was so. I know you said you haven't rewatched Book of Boba Fett. Is that because it was so much of a challenge for you to watch it? I mean, honestly, what was your opinion of the season?
No, I mean, I thought it was fine. I have criticisms for sure. The reason I didn't rewatch it recently when I was doing my Mando rewatches, I just didn't think I'd have the time. So I was focused on the Mando stuff before the movie. Now that, there's still a little bit of time for the show, maybe I'll throw it on. But I think part of it might be subconsciously due to the fact that I wasn't, over the moon about it when it first came out.
That is the understatement of the century.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying.
Sam was salty
I
about
was
it.
so salty.
Yeah, it was fine. I more Boba Fett's great, but I feel like it could have been better. So
Well, I've rewatched it,
okay,
the whole season, or series, I guess, because they haven't done a second season. And I will say, my struggle with it the first time through was it is slow at the beginning when they're doing those flashbacks. And I remember falling asleep half the time with it. But I didn't fall asleep on this. I was completely dialed in and focused in on it. And I'm going to be honest with you, it was a really, really great story. Watching it a second time, I highly recommend if you have time before the Book of Boba or Mando and Grogu.
I'll probably throw it on
with that. All right, last question. This will be. I'll start with you, Nathan. Before we kind of get into the main stuff today, would you rather ride a banther,
Save
or
a cowboy, right?
That's right.
Save a horse, ride a banker.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Would you rather ride a Rancor or a Bantha? Be honest. Are you picking comfort or are you picking chaos?
Rancor or Bantha? Bantha, I feel. I don't have any need to ride a Rancor.
Yeah, but you could say you were riding a Rancor.
Why would I want to
It's
do
a
that?
pretty
Because it's cool.
It's a pretty cool moment.
Still traumatized after the Return of the Jedi stuff with the Rancor, so I think I'm good.
Man.
We're gonna get something similar to that
Depressing.
in the Mandalorian and Grogu with that
Be
serpent.
quiet.
Is what I'm seeing.
yeah.
That big serpent that
is
we've
that?
seen in the trailers.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, the theory is
That's under the twins.
underneath the twins' palace,
That
so
makes
like
sense.
where the Rancor was in Jabba's palace.
Is it just a
with
hot
that.
thing to have like a...
Okay, this is maybe a question for later. I didn't watch.
That's okay.
Boba
Free
Fett.
form.
Do the twins? Do we know how they ended up taking?
They
the palace?
they left. Oh no, they didn't.
No,
they
they
don't have,
did.
they've got
They're
their
not
own
on
place.
Tatooine.
They have their own place.
Their own place. Yeah,
Yeah,
they
this-
left Tatooine
That's what I thought. But
and went back to their own thing.
Okay.
and we don't really know much more.
So
about
far,
that.
Boba's just... He's ruling...
and we have absolutely no idea why Din would even want to go back to the twins.
Not yet.
Well, I think it's going to happen. I mean, we'll get to this not next episode, but the episode after that when we preview the Mandalorian and Grogu. Mandalorian
okay.
and Grogu. But there's some theories about what's going on with Rhoda the Hutt and what's happening with that. Who's got second billing in that movie?
That's because it's
crazy.
Jeremy Allen.
They're doing credits at the opening on that movie, which first time in Star Wars history. They're doing credits during the opening.
Pedro and then Jeremy.
And then it's paid. Yep. I know.
shocking.
It is. It's a big deal.
Well, it's
People
not-
that have seen the first 20 minutes of it were like, oh, and they're like, it's different, but it's cool.
Side note, I think they're doing like a 10-minute preview in Fortnite.
They are,
They are.
in the 17th.
which they kind
17?
of did with Rise of Skywalker.
They did the same
they?
thing.
A little bit.
They did the Exegol stuff where Ben Solo or where Kylo Ren goes back
Well,
to Exegol.
yeah, and before then, the actual
yeah.
message that Palpatine
yeah, they
translated to the
did.
galaxy that we never heard
That's
in the movie
right.
was in Fortnite, which
That's
feels
right.
very vital, but
Yeah, they
we're going to
kinda
get over
left
that. But their marketing is going crazy just this month, which is fine. If you're going to do it anyway, that
Wars.
feels like a good way to do it.
Yeah.
Especially if you put Star Wars Starfighter trailer and Doomsday trailer ahead of it,
I think that's what's going to
They
happen.
better.
you're going to
They're
get,
smart.
you're going to print money.
I
Ryan
think they're
Gosling
going to
in
do the
front of anything
Avatar
now.
thing.
Especially after Hail Mary.
Yeah,
They're gonna
Ryan
do the-
Gosling in space. Yeah, you're
Absolutely.
fine.
They're going to do the Avatar thing where they don't allow it to go online. And they're going to put it in front of the Mandalorian and Grogu, Doomsday and Jedi and Star Wars Starfighter. And people that want to see those trailers are going to go to that movie.
Yep.
And that's going to drive up. That's going to give them an extra 5 to 10 million.
Oh, easily.
And that's what's going to get them from
let's just
90
be
to
honest,
100.
The only reason we saw Avatar was for the hope
Absolutely.
that we would get the Odyssey,
And then we didn't.
and Doomsday, and then we
And I'm
didn't.
still upset.
And
That
then
was a
we went
waste
to go
of
see,
3 hours.
We went to go see another movie down in
And you watched,
Pensacola.
snuck in and went and
I
saw it.
snuck into IMAX because I'm like, I need to see that Odyssey trailer, and it played, and I was like, I'm happy now. And then I just walked out. I didn't even pay for a ticket for IMAX. I just wanted to see the trailer. I don't have an issue with that.
No, you didn't stay for the movie.
No, we didn't stay for the movie, and I wouldn't want to.
All right. Well, so for everybody that's maybe a little like you hadn't rewatched the Book of Boba Fett, let's do a quick recap of what happens in the season. The Book of Boba Fett follows a legendary bounty hunter reborn through survival as Boba Fett seeks to redefine himself, not as a weapon of fear, but as a leader of people. Confronted by a lawless world shaped by power and exploitation, he chooses to rule through respect rather than terror, discovering that true strength in Star Wars is not found in control, but in community, responsibility, and the courage to belong. Ooh. Let's do this. All right. Okay, so before the throne, before the tribe, before the burden of deciding to rule, Boba Fett is basically just a ghost. In his previous stuff, especially the original trilogy.
Right.
With that, he's got more of a reputation than a real person. He's a shadow. He's a gun for hire. He's kind of just pointed in a specific direction, and that's where he gets. He's a bounty hunter. He gets paid. That's where money flows. And so for so long, he's kind of kept everybody at an arm's length. He doesn't have really any ties to anybody, especially with what happens in the Clone Wars, where he kind of gets betrayed with the Bounty Hunter Guild and all of that kind of stuff. He has no ties. He has no second thoughts. He's just focused in on the mission. But when you're fighting to stay alive, especially when we see these flashbacks in the Book of Boba Fett to after he gets out of the Sarlacc pit, things begin to look very different. It's kind of in that quiet, following that escape from the Sarlacc pit, that a question starts to take shape for Boba Fett. If I'm more than a bounty hunter, then what really am I with this? So as we think about Boba Fett as a bounty hunter, does it feel like something that something's missing when we kind of catch up with him in this series as we're kind of moving into this? Does it feel like maybe we're trying to fill in the gaps, and that's why they had to keep going back and understanding what's happening with him? As I guess what I mean is when we see him in Mandalorian season 2, are we trying to figure out that backstory, and that's why they have to do what they do with these flashbacks?
Yeah, I think it is kind of a result of the corner they backed themselves into. But I mean, you bring Boba Fett back in any capacity, you're gonna have to explain how he's not dead, because it's been, I guess, in this point, how long after Return? Is it 6 years that Mando takes place?
Well, I know that Mandalorian and Grogu stuff starting to take place about 9 years later.
I think so. Yeah, I think it's about 6 years after or so. So, what has he been doing these 6 years since he was, digested? So you've gotta explain all of that.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's more than anything fan service. I feel like it's just
that's all Boba Fett is.
Okay, you're right. Yeah, genuinely, you're right. It's like these fans are going to have questions. I'd rather them not ask it for any longer. So let's just give them what they want, and then we'll just have that done with. And they do it in a way that I like. I do like the flashbacks. I do like the back to tank things. It adds for an interesting B plot that we see throughout the first 4 or so episodes that we have. And I think it's a very captivating way to just go through that story and then reach a conclusion, and we're back to where we were.
Yeah.
Is Boba Fett trying to figure out kind of who he is now, or is he chasing something that he's been trying to pursue this whole time when you see him in this? Because he's very different after what we see with the Tuscans.
I'm not sure I followed the question.
So he's in the back to tank, right? So he's, we see him in the back to tank. He's physically being healed. But while he's in there, we're seeing him dreaming of everything that happened while he was getting out of the Sarlacc pit, everything that happened to the Tuscans. And obviously that's so that we know that story, right? We're getting a chance to get filled in on that story. But from an in-universe, that's the out-of-universe explanation for putting that in. But from an in-universe explanation, why is he continuing to have to relive all of that in the back to tank as he's moving into trying to be the leader of Mos Espa here on Tatooine?
I don't know if we have an answer for that, of why he's seeing that or reliving that, other than, well, he has to heal in the back to tank. And I think in an out of universe version, it's this is a fun way to put it in here. I don't know if we have an in-universe explanation as to why you would be seeing that. I think that we're seeing...
Okay, so what's an in-universe speculation as to why.
Speculation.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if I can rationalize that. Like, my brain is thinking, I just think that this is just normal back to dreams, and we're just seeing it like through his memories. But I also think it's a good way for us to see. And when we're talking about in universe, it's a way to have something correlate with the plot we're seeing in the modern day with something that he's done in the past, and kind of learn how those both coincide with each other and then converge and create something that we see Boba Fett grow into, instead of him just being a bounty hunter.
Yeah. I mean, I think what it's supposed to reflect is in the flashbacks, he learns to be a protector for this tribe, for this Tusken Raider tribe, right? Whether, he's kind of forced into it, but he ends up learning how to be a part of them. They
he's accepted into that.
He's accepted in, and he takes on this role of protector. He they start attacking the Pikes or whatever.
The Pike Syndicate starts attacking them.
And so I think that's a reflection of what he's seeing happen in Mos Espa later. He realizes this is another opportunity for him to step up and be a protector for these people. Whether they really like it or not, or his methods. I mean, he's still a bounty hunter. He's still kind of ruthless and stuff. He's not a great guy, but he does try to protect the people from, this evil, these huts, these syndicates. So I think that the Back to Dreams are kind of a subconscious indicator of, hey, this is not very dissimilar to what you've done in the past. Do it again, kind of thing.
Kind of like his subconscious is telling him to this is how he needs to function in Mos Espa.
Right.
Let's talk about it. I mean, we didn't talk about it, but the scene with the Sarlacc pit where he gets out of it and all of that. He steals the oxygen from the other the dead stormtrooper inside the Sarlacc pit, and all of that. It was all pretty awesome. In the Star Wars universe, is surviving something like what we see him survive with the Sarlacc pit, is that about more than just being tough? Is there something that they're like a rebirth that they're trying to do with him in this story?
Are you like thinking the Force protected him, kind of?
Yeah, I'm not sure I follow.
No, I mean, we've been talking in the previous.
Or are you saying like symbolically?
Yeah, like a symbolic rebirth, right? I mean,
yeah. I think that you can bring parallels to that, and then if you even go to, I do think symbolism is very much present in Star Wars. We know that it is. It's crazy. I know, insane.
Well, I mean,
right?
we talk about it all the time. This is modern mythology.
Yes, exactly. Right? And so if you take that, I don't see why that couldn't be a rebirth of him. As I believe that Mando going into the living waters on Mandalore,
which we'll talk about in the next episode,
also a rebirth. And so I think that you can take those parallels. Obviously, very different. One was voluntary. One very much wasn't, and is horrible. But I do think it shows the will. Of course, willpower and rage, very powerful. We know that in Star Wars. We see that with Maul. We see that literally his rage and hate kept him alive. I don't think that there is that aspect of hate and rage fully in Boba Fett. I think we see some type of rage, but more willpower to survive and resourcefulness. Let's just be honest. He's kind of been betrayed by every corner throughout.
Well, he's been completely on his own since like Geonosis.
Like 12, I think is around the age.
Around that age, yeah.
So he's had a lot to deal with, and so he's resourceful, and he has an immense amount of willpower. And I think that it's just shown that when he came from that, and then he was stripped of everything, that he had to relearn who he was. So I can see how that could be considered like a rebirth.
I wonder what he would have thought if he had stuck around at the end of season 2 when Luke showed up.
What do you mean? I'm trying to understand. I know you got something in your head.
What Boba Fett would have thought.
If he would have been there on the ship. If he had been there
when on the ship when Luke showed up, that would have been an interesting confrontation.
I would have liked that. Maybe we'll see that Mandalorian and Grogu.
I kind of want to see that
Mando and Grogu.
Now you're going to have another deep fake version of Luke.
It's not bad. It wasn't bad. I don't get
the Book of Boba Fett Luke is good.
Is a lot better.
Yeah,
really
I agree.
It's a lot
It was
better.
really good in Book of Boba Fett.
It's
and
not
they have the
that
technology.
bad.
I would love to see that in Mandalorian.
It's not that bad in season 2.
But it's not that good in season 2 either. With that. Do you think that surviving something like that and coming back, Do you feel like a character like Boba Fett is going to see this as he has some kind of greater purpose now? Like there's got to be some reason he's still around, or is it just like I survived and now I've got to make it through another day?
No, I think that's what we see in this show. I mean, he takes on a massive role as this crime lord and de facto protector of this town. So, you know, and I think the only reason he does that is because he's had a major rebirth, I guess, for lack of a better term, a major shift. I mean, the dude thought he was dead and was given a second chance. And he's going to try to do something with it.
And in reality, he is dead.
Right.
Return of the Jedi, he was dead.
Right.
This is a retcon.
Yeah, so. It is. But, no. People have been saying it for years.
Well, no, they brought it back in Legends or EU and all that. Yeah.
But, I mean, we even see that character shift right when he shows back up in season 2. I mean, he gets his armor back and he's like, we'll stick with you anyway. You know, talking to Mando, and like, we'll help you get Grogu back. He has zero skin in this game at that point. He has no reason to stick around with Mando at this point. But he does, and I don't think he would have done that. I mean, he's doing it for free, mind you. If he were getting paid, that'd be a different story. That's his job. But he does this of his own volition just because he feels like it's the right thing to do. I don't think he would have done that in episode 6, Return of the Jedi.
Well, but that's, I think, because of what happens after he gets out of the Sarlacc.
That's what I'm saying.
The Tuskens, for sure. Yeah.
Absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about that. Why does that time that he spends with the Tuskens, why does that mess with his head so much? And why does that like change him so dramatically? Why do you feel?
I think it's a sense of community among those that seemed like freaks and outlaws. I mean, you go to Tatooine, Tuskens are considered like the really weird folks. Like, you don't talk to them.
Well, they are considered dangerous.
They're considered dangerous.
Well,
like,
yeah, I mean, everything we've had up until Mandalorian season 1. Season 1, episode 5.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
With Torah Calican and everything on Tatooine.
And Fennec.
Up until that episode, the Tuskens are always bad, are always evil, are irredeemable, are out to kill, all of this. And then in Mandalorian, that episode, and in this series specifically, we get a very different perspective.
We get a view of community. While strange, it's still a sense of belonging and community that I don't think that Boba Fett had. He didn't understand that. He never had that. He was he was born from it too. But
and once his dad died, he'd been on his own. From that point.
Being able to learn that and learn these survival techniques from these people, have these people protect him and him protect them, and losing them, I think it gave him a sense of a different outlook on life in general. Everybody. And I think it made him understand more that he wants to be a protector from now on and not just somebody that takes lives, but saves them. And I think we see that a lot in the latter half of Book of Boba Fett of that season. We, like you're saying, we see that with Grogu. There's no point for him to stick with Mando and Grogu at that time, but he does it to make sure that they get that mission complete and protect them. And then we see him protect this entire town and lead it and protect this weird cyborg biker gang who was apparently against him, but then he's like, these people could be useful and they need some type of place to belong, just like he needed some type of place to belong. It'll give him protection and let them have a place to be. So I think that the Tuskens just taught him a lot of lessons, which I think just goes to show a lot of the complexities of cultures in Star Wars. Yeah.
I think it's fitting that they used a character or the Tuskens, a type of character who up until this point were considered nothing but, or up until recently were considered nothing but villains, to rehabilitate what was thought up until this point as nothing but a villain.
That's a really interesting point.
I think it adds complexity there. It's both deepening the Tuskens and Boba Fett at the same time, showing that there's more to both of them than what we initially thought.
So when we watched the Book of Boba Fett the first time, it was really clear to me that this was very much a Western, even more than even Mandalorian is on this. And when I see the Tuscans in this, they are the Native Americans in this story.
Yeah.
And I love how they're showing that what we have always, it really is an evolution of the way that Star Wars thinks about indigenous peoples in a lot of ways. This, because, they were the savages, they were the bad guys. Why do you think that, why do you feel like it was so important for the story to show them as honorable in this versus savages?
I think it goes back to what I was just saying with Boba Fett. I think it's to show that there's more to them than what we were initially shown.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it is truly a way for us to further connect and understand more easily why Boba Fett could be good. Like Sam was saying, our view of Boba Fett has always been, well, he's a villain. And then the prequels came out, well, he may be misunderstood, but his evolution still turns him into a villain within the original trilogy. And then this one, it's like, there's way more to this character than you originally think there is. He has way more depth and a more refined and complex moral compass than we can originally think. And that goes to show for the Tuscans as well. We always thought Tuscans were just, evil.
Just shot at anything.
Just shot at anything, exactly. Yeah. And then there's way more to them than you could ever think of. They have weird lizard rituals to find sticks.
It's cool, okay?
That's a word for it. But
cool.
It does show that there is different cultures, which I think is something that I want to give, I guess, the Mandoverse applause for. They show a lot of this galaxy that we have not seen in depth. Again, something into like Skeleton Crew as well. We see a lot of that same stuff. And heck, I was even thinking about this with Maul Shadow Lord. We're getting a lot of a different world that we've never experienced. Originally, what I thought was Coruscant, but it's just a completely different world. We see different like sports. We see different melting pots of culture.
On the planet, on Janus.
On Janus. And so we're seeing a lot of different cultures of people. And I think that that's something that Star Wars was so good at and that we're expanding upon more now.
Slice of life.
And Book of Boba Fett was a very well done deep dive into a different side of that culture that we hadn't seen before.
Do you think that all of that we've talked about, the way that they welcome Boba Fett in, the way that he sees them he learns that they're more than just savages, that they're truly a tribe, a family, and they then make him a part of their family. He sees the way that they function within that leadership structure. Do you think that helps? Is what guides him to try to lead Mos Espa the way that he is as the Daimo or whatever they call him on that as he moves in and starts trying to take over Jabba's empire?
Yeah, I think his past does influence what he wants to have for the future. I truly do believe. And I think it's even just like he saw how Jabba ran things. I don't think he agreed. And especially after growing now, seeing that Jabba's empire fell so easily and was just not how I guess he would want to run it now after he grew more. I do think his past has influenced his future for sure. He
goes, and we see this at the end of Mandalorian season 2. It's the post-credit scene. Do you remember where we were when we saw that?
No,
we were moving to here, and we were watching it in Orange Beach, or it was around Christmas time, I guess. I can't remember.
Oh, that is
we watched it at the condo at Orange Beach.
Condo.
With that, I just remember that's where I always think of it when I see that. So he goes and he gets Jabba's throne, and that's really and at the end of season 2 of Mandalorian, that's what he does. That's the easy part for Boba Fett, right? Him and Fennec taking over,
right?
That hanging on to it is a completely different situation, and he really isn't just handed power. He flips the script on what that means. As he takes over Mos Espa, and no one knows how to handle that. No one knows how to interact with him within Mos Espa. As a result, it's a world that's been built on Jabba's heavy-handed, do what I say or get killed approach towards everything. It's intimidation, and in that he's very surprisingly, both for us watching and for those that live there, he's choosing to hold back.
Right.
With this. It's, we talked about this in the first season of Mandalorian when we talked a couple episodes ago, how that choice at the end of the first episode to take out IG-11s to save baby Yoda's life, the child's life at that time, and then to go back in episode 3, the Sin, and rescue Grogu from the Empire to get them back. That's the choice that changes everything for Din with this. Do you think that we're seeing the same type of a dramatic choice from Boba Fett in the way that he's choosing to rule in Mos Espa?
Yeah, I think it's just a bunch of smaller choices instead of just the one big one like Din Djarin. But yeah, I think he's realizing things need to be different. I think he worked for Jabba because that's where the money was, and he had no authority to say how things should be. But I think he always had an idea of what is fair, I guess, maybe. I don't remember his arc in the Clone Wars as well as I'd like. But he still had something of a moral compass at that point. And nothing that ever just went away. I mean, his dad wasn't the best, sure, but he was just like...
His dad was the best for him, though.
Sure.
Yeah.
And his dad was just trying to kind of...
I'm just a simple man making my way through the galaxy.
He really was just trying to kind of do his thing. Whether he was right or not is a different story, the way he was doing it. But anyway, and I think Boba Fett just ultimately wants to foster a place where people can do the same. Just get through life, make their way. He's still gonna, he's still in charge, and he's gonna, enforce the rules when he needs to. But for the most part, I think he just kind of wants the place to be livable. Mm-hmm. So,
Nate, why do you think that Fennec specifically, but generally, it seems like I can't remember the Twi'lek in that leads the
in the
sanctuary,
the bar or the casino or whatever.
I
I just remember it's played by the girl that was in Flashdance in the 80s. I can't remember even her name, but yeah. Mm-hmm. But anyway, that whole, everybody looks at Boba Fett kind of with they're side-eyeing him with the way that he's doing this. Right.
I mean,
well, yeah. Why do you feel that? Why do you feel like people are taking this? Are like, wait a second, is this real? Or why are you doing this?
Well, he was Jabba the Hutt's enforcer and
worked with Vader himself.
And he should be dead. Like, this guy's a ghost at this point, basically. I would look at that guy with a little bit of hesitation as well.
He's a legend. He not even a legend. He's a folk tale at this point. Mm-hmm. He's a campfire story that you tell all the kids tell their friends about around the pod racer or something like that. Like it's that intense, and then he's back. He's here
just out of nowhere
because he's Did you hear about that man in the armor that worked with Darth Vader and Jabba the Hutt and died, and now he's back? And no, it's real. He is here, and I think his reputation precedes him as well.
Oh yeah,
he's one of the greatest bounty hunters of all time. There's no doubt about it. And one of the most famous bounty hunters of all time, just in that galaxy. And so for him to be taking over this city, this town, well, it's like, well, what is he going to do to us? Is he going to like enslave all of us? What is it going to look like? That's not the case. Thankfully, that's not the case.
So they don't know that.
He's changed, but they don't know that. And so it's a lot of worry. Yes, of course, him being there kind of does bring a lot of war to that town. That's just a sad side effect. But I think it is just his reputation preceding him is the scary part of that.
Do you think that this is also what brings that approach towards leadership in Mos Espa, where he's doing this from respect? He's not doing this with intimidation like Jabba did. Right, this different approach.
Right.
Do you think that is what invites the conflict from others, from the Pikes, from
there's always
the twins, the other factions?
I mean, whenever there's a shift in power, there's going to be people who test the
Yeah,
waters.
there's going to be a power vacuum. There's no doubt.
Well, it's not even a power vacuum. He filled the vacuum. It's just people are gonna test him to see if he's gonna hold up
yeah.
under pressure.
But do you think that test is he's inviting a more of that testing, more of that conflict because he's not being this heavy-handed, overpowering?
Yeah.
I don't think so, because once there is an actual resistance or actual pushback, he quells it pretty quickly. I mean, granted, he needs help from like Mando and stuff, but he does stop the resistance. He establishes his, I don't know, rule again, despite it. So
how does in this series we get the twins, which are
I don't remember.
they're not the children of Jabba the Hutt. They're like cousins, I think, of Jabba the Hutt.
I don't remember
Because Rhoda the Hutt is
His son.
Jabba's son. They're part of the Hutt, obviously, family. But they're trying to come in and take over.
Right.
And we get them in the Mandalorian and Grogu
right.
with this. How do you feel like what's happening in the Book of Boba Fett with the twins could potentially find its place or its a direction in this? Do you feel like we just have no idea at this point?
Yeah, I don't really see much of a connection other than maybe they're pissed off at Mando for driving them out, because Mando was a part of that pushback with Boba Fett. So maybe that's it, but otherwise I don't see a direct connection.
Yeah, I think
Which is weird.
it's hard to really see where they're going to go with this movie, because after recapping both Book of Boba Fett and season 3 of Mando, I'm seeing so many like plot lines that are set up that we have no idea where they're going to go in this movie. So at this point, it's just like, who knows? Like, Cobb Vanth is still alive, but cyborgified. Is he going to show up? Does he have something to do with the twins? Where are we going to go with that plot line?
Is that just a season 2 tease?
Yeah. What are we doing here? And so I think it's hard for us to tell what the twins are going to do. I think the twins will probably be brought in after Rhoda the Hutt is. I think Rhoda the Hutt might have something to do with bringing them in, because they're all Hutts, of course. But other than that, I don't know a through line we can see that being the case.
It's so fun to hear you guys talk about this, because you don't dive into
I don't want
the Star Wars
No.
theory world regarding like the trailer breakdowns.
No, I don't have that.
The
I wasn't really even into that when we were
because
first doing the
I hear
podcast
you
and
talk
stuff.
about stuff like that, and I know what has been pretty much agreed upon based on everybody that's analyzed all these trailers and overanalyzed the trailers and read all the interviews and all of that. And when in your guys' perspective on even how the twins and Rhoda the Hutt are working in this movie is so fresh and different than what is generally considered what everybody is assuming is going to happen
Oh, it's just because we're smarter than
in this movie.
everyone else,
No, I
so.
mean, it's different. It's different. And I love that. It's part of the fun on this. The whole second half of this season, this series is about them really testing Boba Fett's leadership, whether or not he's going to survive.
Right.
And that's why the twins come in. That's why the Pikes come in. They send in Black Chrysanthemum.
That was a cool.
He was so
too.
cool.
Yeah.
And
That
the
was
way
he was from Dr. Afra, the comics, right?
he was also a Legends character or an EU character, a bounty hunter, in all of that. So they brought him in to this. I'm pretty sure he was with this, but they're bringing all these things. They're testing him. They're bringing him in with all of this, and he's choosing to lead from a place of authority versus a place of power. And they keep coming at him with this. And that's what brings Din back into the story,
Right.
with Cobb Vanth and everything else. Okay. So, when the Pikes are the big sort of antagonists in this series, and they just won't come to the table to work with Boba Fett on this. They just want to take what they want, take control of all of this, and their deal with this it boils down to fear, cash, and total control, which is the contrast to Boba Fett in this series, and that's where Boba's approach towards trying to rule through respect versus through intimidation and power becomes very dicey. All right, so the Pikes just aren't sitting down at the table. They take what they want. Their deal basically boils down to fear and to cash and to total control, and that's where Boba Fett's whole approach gets really dicey and risky, because if we're real about this, fear is what gets results in the galaxy far, far away. It's quick, it's easy, it works like a charm. But as always, with Star Wars, you've got to ask, what's the catch? So why do you feel like the Pikes are really messing with Boba Fett's style of running things? What makes everyone so scared of the Pikes? And why does that actually work, or at least for a little while in this story?
I think we see a very big contrast with the Pikes and Boba Fett through, I think Boba Fett has the option to go learning and the direction of how the Pikes run things and committing to that. We see that in the flashbacks with him talking with the Pikes, the whole Tusken trade routes, all that kind of stuff. And we see the ability for him to go to fear and control in the moments when the Pikes wipe out the Tusken camp. And he has the option to just go crazy. He obviously has all of these things that happen. And then we see the Pikes come back to him, through the latter half of the season, and their whole pushback against him being there. But I think it's more of a pushback of the Pikes are wanting to continue to have control over Mos Espa. And I think that they see that Boba will win the hearts of the town more than the Pikes ever will. And I think the Pikes are seeing that the town is more and more willing to resist the Pikes' version of control and accept Boba's version. So I think we see a lot of that push and pull. And that's why I think Boba's version of control is so threatening to the Pikes, because they see, oh, well, how we do things is not going to work in the long run.
The Pikes are tied. They're all over the Star Wars timeline, right? We see them all the way in the end of the Clone Wars. They're tied in with the Martez sisters and Ahsoka. They're in the Bad Batch.
Solo.
They're in
They're throughout
Solo. They're throughout the Clone Wars. They're in Maul Shadow Lord. They're everywhere, and they're tied. They always have. They always show up connected to other stories. And other bigger things with this. And as we start looking forward to the Mandalorian and Grogu, the underworld, the Star Wars underworld, right? To the Pikes, the mafia, the Hutts, all of that kind of stuff with it. They're present in the Mandalorian and Grogu. You can tell that throughout the trailers and everything else with that. And we do see that there's an Imperial presence in this, but how do you feel like based on where we're at in the timeline with this Imperial remnant out in the fringes, do you feel like this underworld element is actually what's going to connect Mando and Grogu to what's going on with the New Republic and the Empire? Do you feel like the Empire is going to try to reestablish some authority and some control through connecting to the underworld?
Yeah, I thought that's kind of how the First Order came about.
Explain to me what you mean by that.
I thought I just remembered hearing at some point through like all the books and extra movie stuff that the First Order, Empire, whatever, used the underworld to gain traction, gain power, and then once they finally had enough built up, episode 7 happens and they put themselves out there. So I think No, I could be wrong. That's just what I remember. But I think that it would only make sense for them to use that. I mean, it keeps them under the radar. The New Republic's not going to think anything of it because organized crime is always going to be there. Crime's crime. So the New Republic wouldn't think to look at the crime to see, is there any imperial element to this crime? They're not going to check that. So I definitely can see that working out. I mean, even in the beginning of Mando, the client or whatever was using a bounty hunter to get the stuff that the Empire needed. So it only makes sense for that to be the through line there.
So Boba Fett isn't a lone wolf anymore.
No,
especially by the end of this, and he can't be because. So he's got Fennec obviously throughout the entire season. He reconnects with Din. Grogu shows up, and we don't need to necessarily talk a lot about those episodes because we'll end up, everybody knows what happens with that. But he even connects, with the people of Mos Espa on this. They all become something bigger in this story, and that's where things start to get really interesting because it makes this story about not just making it through another day, not surviving, which is sort of the way that it starts, to building something bigger in a community with this, and that's the connection that brings us in with Din and Grogu on this. How do you feel like Boba teaming up with Din and at the end with Grogu really drives home more of that found family idea? Does this feel like Boba Fett finally now has his community?
Oh yeah, for sure. I think that's the whole point of Book of Boba Fett is Boba Fett understanding community is important and then finding that community. I think that's the driving message, or at least theme, that they're going for through the series, and I think they accomplished it super well. It's of course a big thing in Star Wars for found family. So having Boba finally find his, it makes sense and will probably help in the longer run. So we'll have to see how that goes. But
Sam, for you as being a lifelong Boba Fett fan, right? Because he's got cool armor. Mm-hmm. That's basically how it got started.
Basically.
With it. Does that change the way you think about Boba Fett for being, now that he's no longer this lone wolf character off on his own, has 6 words in the sequel in the original trilogy or something like that, to now he's this character that's living without a helmet on. He's this character that has connections and relationships. You've seen his struggles, you've seen his fears, and those types of things. Does that make him a better character for you? Does that make him a character you like more, or does that not having that mystery about him, does that make him less of an interesting character for you?
I mean, I think character development's always good. Is it the best version of a character where they've taken someone who's barely seen and then they've expand on him? No, they're killing it with this Maul show, and I think that is, well, that character in general throughout the Clone Wars, they've done a phenomenal job fleshing out Maul, and I think that's probably the prime example of taking someone who just looked cool and barely said anything and did like 2 things, and then making him such a complex character. But that said, I don't think that the development for Boba Fett was bad. I think it's good. I like the character still just as much. He still looks cool. That's the main thing I care about, which is really shallow. I get it. But, I think that it gives him depth, and depth is always good. He's still a ruthless leader. He's maybe relaxed a little bit more now. But if anyone comes for anything he cares about, he's going to stop them, and no questions asked, right? So he's still this ruthless guy, but he's just found that, if he doesn't have a community to surround himself with, he's going to get kicked in another Sarlacc pit. So he probably needs to surround himself with some people who actually are there on and have his back, not just someone who financially backs him.
Yeah.
Do we see Boba Fett in The Mandalorian and Grogu?
No.
I would say yeah.
Really? Okay, so you say yes, you say no. I'll let you go.
I don't think so. I want to see him, of course, but I don't know. I don't know how it would make a whole lot of sense to bring him in. I mean, I guess you do have the twins, so that's a good tie-in. But I just don't think you need Boba Fett, so I don't think they will bring him in. But that said, if he shows up, I will be ecstatic.
And you think that they will?
I do. I think you have the underworld being such a prevalent part of this movie. You can't really have, and then Boba having such a part of Din's journey. I don't think you can have Boba not be in this movie. Also, it's a really cool cameo. Great to see him back on the big screen. Not a problem. It doesn't hurt them. Even if it's just like during the arena fight, Boba shows up to help Din in the arena fight against the Hutts and the crazy creatures. Big, cool, wow, that's awesome. You don't have to see him again. Great stuff. But
Are you telling me they're going to use the fan service character for fan service?
Yeah, exactly. And I don't think that's a problem. And I do go back to the fact that we've had 3 trailers and they've all shown pretty much the same thing.
That's true.
We don't know what's in this movie.
That's very true.
It's 2 hours and 10 minutes of things we don't know. We maybe know 5 minutes of what we've seen.
We know 25 minutes of it. People have seen it and they've talked about it.
Don't tell me.
I don't care about people's descriptions. And if they're okay showing the first 25 minutes, then what are they not okay showing in the last hour?
I will say that pretty much everything that we have seen
is in that first
in the
25
trailers
minutes.
is in that time.
That makes sense.
Which makes sense to me. And they have a lot that they're holding back because they need to. They need this movie to have the big, oh my gosh, I didn't expect it to go there, so that it has legs through the box office. It needs to have legs.
And it would be nice to see Boba Fett on the
And it
big
would be cool
screen
to see
again.
Boba
On the big screen.
Are you, Sam, are you ever going to be able to get over the fact that they basically turned the Book of Boba Fett into an opportunity to continue Din Djarin's story instead of make it primarily about Boba Fett?
I think it was... I still stand by that it was a bad move. I get why they did it. I still think it's a bad move. I mean, when I was doing my Mando rewatch and I got to season 3 and he shows up in the M1 Starfighter, I was like, did I miss something in season 2? What's happening here? And then I remembered, oh yeah, there were like 3 episodes of nothing but Mando development.
Just two.
Okay, whatever. 2 episodes of development for his character in the Boba Fett show, right? And I'm not saying what they did was bad. And I get why they did it, but it just didn't make sense to me. Tack it on to one of the seasons. Tack it on in the beginning. You could have done this Mando stuff quickly at like the beginning, like half of one episode of season 3.
Don't be the pacing guy.
I'm not being the pacing guy. I'm just saying if you had to, you could have done that and then keep the Boba Fett show where his name's on it about Boba Fett. And largely the problem is for people who don't realize they need to watch Boba Fett.
Yeah,
if they're doing that. You're a dad who hasn't paid attention to the Disney Plus shows like at all, hardly. But you see a Star Wars movie's coming into the theaters, right? It's called Mandalorian and Grogu. So where are you going to go to Disney Plus and watch? Well, you're going to watch the Mandalorian show. And how are you going to watch that more than likely? You're going to go season 1 to season 3. Mm-hmm. And then when you go from 2 to 3 and you're confused as to what the heck's going on, you're not going to know where to look.
I understand that, and I want to rebuttal a little bit. We had a similar situation happen to us with Daredevil.
I'll let you finish.
The Defenders is vital to season 3 of Daredevil.
It is.
Even more than Book of Boba Fett is to Mandalorian season 3. I have absolutely no issue with Defenders being as pivotal as it is to season 3. I don't have a problem with it. Because I think if you're really into the show, you get to see more of that character. And honestly, I think it's up to the viewer to be able to be like, what do I need to watch? I don't think it's an issue. I think if you watch all of season 2, you see Boba Fett in the post-credit scene, and then your first mind is like, okay, well, where does that go? And if you're this far behind on it, I think rightfully so, you would probably research where that would go to. And then, oh, wait, Book of Boba Fett came out. Well, let's watch that. Also, in the recap of Mandalorian season 3, it shows clips in Book of Boba Fett.
It does.
And it references Book of Boba Fett.
Which is a problem.
Which shows, hey, you probably should have watched Book of Boba Fett. So I don't think it's as much of an issue as some people make it out to be. I understand where they're coming from. Trust me, we ran into the same issue with Daredevil.
Yeah, but
I don't have a problem with that.
I don't think you should have to do a Google search to figure out what show you should watch in between the show you're watching.
I don't have a problem with it.
I think it's silly. I don't think
It's more
the
content.
Defenders thing makes sense.
It's a little bit of like a this is a nice little Easter egg.
No,
I get more of this character I love. I don't have an issue with it. That's the thing. I don't have an issue with it.
Every time I've told someone to go watch Daredevil, I just tell them, oh, by the way, you're going to have to watch Defenders. Don't watch Defenders, just watch a YouTube video.
Well, yeah, I say the same
Recap.
thing.
Because it's a what's the word I'm looking for? A inferior substitute for the actual Daredevil show. The Mandalorian episodes were fine in Book of Boba Fett, but they're not as good as The Mandalorian itself. So if I were telling someone who didn't really want to watch the Book of Boba Fett, but they want to watch Mandalorian, I'm going to tell them the same thing I'm going to tell them about Defenders. Just watch a YouTube recap.
Well, I'm going to completely disagree with you on the quality of those episodes in that season.
I disagree.
They are the best episodes.
That's
the problem.
I didn't say they were worse than the rest of Book of Boba Fett.
No,
they're the best of Book of Boba Fett. They're not as good as the rest of the Mandalorian episodes, in my opinion.
Okay. I disagree. Based on the conversations that we've been able to have and thinking through some of the stories and things like that, do you think you will ever go back and watch? I know you've kind of talked maybe, but do you think that you would go back and watch Book of Boba Fett?
I would. It's like I love these characters. I have no issue watching more of it again. If we get a second season of Book of Boba Fett, heck yes, I will watch season 1 and be happy about it. I was in the small group of people that thought Book of Boba Fett was pretty good when it came out. I enjoyed it. I had fun. That's my ideology with Star Wars. If I watch something and I enjoy it and I have fun, I'm usually pretty happy. There's a lot more you can talk about with it and dive into when it comes to Star Wars, but if it's fun, it's fun. And it's not going to control my life. I'm okay with it.
Sam, would you go back and watch it?
Yeah, I'll probably watch a couple episodes tonight.
Very cool. Keep us posted.
I will.
This is Tatooine Sons.
So we started the episode asking the question, what makes someone worthy of power? And at the beginning of the story, it looks like survival. It's reputation and fear and control. But by the end, it's something else. It's responsibility. It's connection. It's about community and that willingness to protect something that's beyond yourself. And the Book of Boba Fett reminds us that power isn't proven by how many people fear you. It's proven by how many people are better because you're there. And as we move closer to the Mandalorian and Grogu, that idea becomes essential. This isn't a story about just one man changing. It's about a galaxy learning that strength was never meant to stand alone. So if you are enjoying our conversations, we'd love to have you continue this journey with us. Go ahead and like this video, subscribe to the channel, turn on those notifications. We don't want you to miss anything that's coming next. Next episode, we're going to be talking about Mandalorian Season 3, and we're building towards the Mandalorian and Grogu coming out this May. Trust me, you're going to want to be here for every one of these videos. May the Force be with you.